Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video, an attempt at reconciliation. I've been lurking here for a while like most. While contemplating reconciliation and even during the effort, I found immense comfort in reading everyone's perspectives and ideas on this site. It helped me comprehend that others were going through similar situations and, more significantly, that they were coming out the other side, sometimes alone, sometimes with people, but always with scars. I called it quits on my reconciliation effort in early January 2019, soon after Christmas. This is my tale. Since 2005, my STBXW, 38 female and I 34 male, have been together. After about a year, we moved in together and started our lives together. During our relationship, I bought our first house, had 2 lovely children, married, relocated to a decent family home, and we seemed to be happy. There were red flags as I look back, quite substantial ones to be sure. Throughout the relationship, I would often, every 6 months or so, uncover that she had been other guys on social media and chat applications. The earliest I can recall is in 2010, before we married. I trusted her and accepted her justification that she wanted to feel validated, that her anxieties led her to it, but it was nothing more than that. It wouldn't happen again. I was all she needed. That was all she wanted. For me, February 2018 was D-Day. I discovered some extremely explicit communications a few months before D-Day that strongly showed she was having a connection outside of our marriage. When I challenged her, she admitted that she had just been seeing someone as a friend, nothing else. Surprisingly, I recognized the name as someone she had with in 2008/2009. I sent her letters, begging for the truth, but she constantly assured me that she would never do such a thing to me. Back in February, I simply couldn't be with her because I was always wondering, always in the dark, never knowing what had truly transpired. I'd had enough of playing detective. I requested a divorce. She stated she didn't want it, but she could see why I would, so she consented. She went away with the kids for a week. I remained at home. Despite the fact that they were apart, she refused to accept anything other than friendship. I asked for honesty once again. After all, what difference would it make now that we were going on with our lives? It was welcomed with innocence once again. D-Day arrived only 2 days after she had gone for the week. I remembered her having a close buddy. She had a pal who used to go out drinking with her. An acquaintance who vanished off the face of the world a few years ago. I dialed her number. What happened next was the most bizarre phone call I'd ever received. Everything she knew, she told me. She had slept with man in 2008/2009, a one-night encounter with GUYB immediately after, and another entirely different guy for several months, Guy C. Just months after our wedding day. I was saddened, outraged, and happy to finally know the truth. Such a range of emotions to experience in the course of a 30-minute chat. I got in my vehicle and headed over to her house. We yelled at each other, vented, and then spoke. She acknowledged to knowing what I knew. She had no idea why she was doing it, and she didn't want to leave me. She adored me. She also stated that she was again in a relationship with the same GUI from around 10 years earlier. We decided to attempt to reconcile after days of fighting, talking, and sobbing. We returned home and saw separate counselors, she to figure out why, and me to figure out betrayal. This pattern persisted throughout the year. We discussed events many times over the year. I wanted to understand everything so that I could put a line across it and go on. She assured me that I was well-versed in everything. Throughout that year of reconciliation, I observed several strange occurrences. Little red signals that may be benign, but this time I opted to listen to my boyfriend. I contacted a guy, Guy D. I knew she'd seen a couple of years ago, but was emphatic nothing occurred. When he answered the phone, I asked him what occurred that night, and he told me everything. They had been dating for some months. She had informed him that we were separated and divorced, and that I did not reside at home. He slept in my bed, met my kids, and stayed the night. Never used protection. It threw the system for a loop. He abandoned her after a few months because he didn't think she was single. He saw my photographs in my home, my laundry in the laundry bin, and my brand new vehicle I got for her despite the fact that she didn't work. He added 2 and 2 and got out of there. He expressed regret. He didn't know who I was or how to reach me since I don't use social media. I had moved away and was in a relationship in another country. She was accosted by me. I didn't say anything about having talked with GUID, but I did ask her again if anything occurred there, She disputed it. I informed her that I had talked with him, and she confirmed what he had told me. In addition, she never used protection with any of the others, and that GUI had lately slept in my bed with her. She pleaded with me to remain. She pleaded with me not to throw anything out. I made my choice. I needed to get through Christmas for the kids before I called it quits. 11 months after D-Day, my reconciliation came to an end. I had thought that we might split peacefully, but it seems that I'm to fault for not trying hard enough. All I worry about today is being the greatest parent I can be for my children and providing them with a positive role model. The weight that has been lifted off my shoulders is enormous. Despite the fact that we have just recently begun going through the divorce, I feel liberated. Despite having had the wool pulled over my eyes for the last 13 years, I feel like I've grown into a stronger person and am excited for what the future holds. I couldn't possibly be much worse, could I? I have yet to DNA test the kids, so it might be worse, I'm sure, but regardless of the conclusion, I'm still their father and always will be. Thank you for reading this far. I hope this story can assist someone else in the same way that past tales have helped me. These are the highlights. There is too much drama to fit into a single article. Maybe I'll reserve the goodies for a future follow-up. Story 2. 1 year ago today, my wife, 28 female, cheated on me with my best friend, 28 male, and divorced me, 30 male, to be with him. Now I am having issues trusting anyone. How can I learn to trust again? It was exactly 1 year ago today when I was seriously wounded. Following a 7-year romance, my wife and I were married for 2 years after first meeting online. Everything had been going swimmingly in our relationship, or so I thought. The two of us had just moved in order to be closer to family, to buy our first home, and to be in the process of establishing our family. The fact that my wife was on prednisone for her kidney transplant and had to be gradually weaned off of it over many months meant that she had to plan her pregnancy in advance. Following her withdrawal off prednisone, we started having unprotected encounters in order for her to get pregnant. In the meanwhile, we started to socialize with another married couple who happened to be there. He was one of my closest friends. We'd known one another for more than 14 years at this point. Even my bachelor celebration had been hosted at my home by him. After a few months of hanging out together, we were all quite close and spent a lot of time together as a group. After that, I had to go out of town for business for a week. My wife contacted me the day before I was scheduled to return. She came to me and told me that she had gotten high with my best friend, that they had kissed, and that she wanted to spend the rest of her life in his company. Honestly, I was completely taken by surprise. I recollect thinking to myself, just before I left, my husband and I were attempting to conceive. What makes you think this is possible? My wife had already moved out of our apartment by the time I arrived back in town, leaving our wedding ring on the dining room table. Even though she is aware of my desire for children, she informed me throughout the divorce that she does not feel she would ever want children herself, as shown by the fact that she had gone back and forth on this subject during our whole relationship. She had plainly not made up her mind. Anyhow, I've been doing all I can to recuperate from this betrayal, which has come not only from my wife, but also from one of my closest friends. That stinging sensation was multiplied by 2. Since then, I've migrated to a different place in order to start fresh. It has been my intention to establish new contacts and perhaps date again, but I'm having difficulties placing my faith in anybody at the moment. Furthermore, a lack of trust makes it more difficult to build meaningful connections. It has dawned on me that everyone is different, and just because my wife cheated on me does not mean that a new woman would do the same. And I understand that just because my closest buddy lied to me, it does not follow that my new friends would do the same to you. However, there is a catch. Because I placed so much trust in my wife and closest friend, I feel that anybody, no matter how loyal they seem to be on the surface, is capable of engaging in similar behavior as they did. In addition, since I think anybody may do me harm, I now feel like I'm always on guard, and I haven't been able to let anyone into my home.